As a matter of fact, Flavor Flav is just sponsoring like women's synchronized swimmers and anything. Can we just get Flavor Flav to come to a Bills tailgate? Can that happen? Can we make that happen?
He might never leave, bro. He might never leave.
The Bills make us want to shout. We love the last Boy Scout. Buffalo is here to stay. They will never go away, just like the chick from No Doubt. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G, and this is the Mafia Minute presented by Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. Thank you very much for checking us out. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, on the web at mafiaminute.com. We try to keep things easy to remember, nice and simple, just like the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, click the thumb. Lets us know that you're on board the Bills hype train for the 2024 season. And speaking of the Bills train, here's the conductor, Jamie G. How are things going up there in the locomotive, man?
It's full steam ahead, baby. The train is heading into week one, Highmark Stadium. We got the Cardinals coming in from the desert. I cannot wait. It's football, baby. It's in the air. This is the best time of the year for Western New York. Best time of the year for every Bills fan and so many fans out there in the world. Congratulations, we made it. Let's get it.
I hope you have stocked up on your tables because it is almost time for the season. Let's kick things off with the Bills on parade, the latest Buffalo Bills news and whatnot. As we record this, we do not have final cuts yet. We consider doing a roster breakdown speculation, who will make it, who won't. But by the time you're listening to this, roster cuts will have already happened. As we are recording this, they have cut a few players already. Most notable names, to me at least, were Anthony Brown Jr., played a lot of quarterback in the last game, Damiere Byrd, the wide receiver, and Deion Jones, the former Pro Bowl safety. Anything to add on these cuts, Jamie G? Also placed safety Terrell Burgess and safety D. Delaney on IR.
I think the Gian Jones cut was the most surprising, just given his experience and kind of a true veteran out there, and then also cutting Shane Simon, who had some upside. I think that says that they're going to go with the younger guys here in the depth and continue to develop them. Hopefully Buffalo Joe, and then I think their fifth round pick. I'm not going to butcher the name, Ufalo Ashalako. Dude's ripped. Look forward to seeing him play. Missed a little bit of beginning of camp, had an injury, but came back. But I think this is a clear cut. Looks like they're going to keep Buffalo Joe here in Joe injuries, and I think he's earned it. He outplayed Deion Jones.
Yeah, I saw Deion Jones making a couple of, looking at the projections, a couple of people had him on there over Joe. So we'll see if that's the way it shakes out. There probably will be a few moves that are made here at the very end of the trade deadline. Well, trade deadline here, the cut down deadline, but trades are happening. They will happen. Do you think the Bills are going to do anything else to address the backup quarterback position? There's been a little bit of speculation. There are a couple of guys that might be on the roster bubble for other teams. Do you think there's any chance the Bills try to get somebody, at the cost of, say, a sixth or seventh round pick? Not trying to light the world on fire, but do you think they will try to make that kind of acquisition? They're just going to hope Trubisky's healthy? Do you stick with Ben DiNucci? Any thoughts on the backup quarterback?
I want them to. I hope they do. Looking around the league, I saw other backup quarterbacks and depth quarterbacks on teams that really impressed me. I think there's a lot of talent out there to get as a developmental piece that you can have. I wish they would do something different. They've never really put much value in the backup quarterback. Trubisky looked horrible when he was healthy. Now he's got the knee. I thought DiNucci, for what it was worth, played pretty well given the circumstance. He came in, he had to play in less than a couple days, had one basically full week to play in that third preseason game. So he didn't look terrible, but I gotta believe I'd rather see like a Mike White or something like that. I just think there's more upside there. We know who Trubisky is. I get that he's a great locker room guy. People love him. That he shows up every day. He understands the game. He's good in the room. But I want them to have somebody who's better on the field.
Yeah, and it's a tough call if you try to go with the crafty vet. You go with maybe a younger guy who still has some upside. Because you have to wonder at this point, is there really that big of a drop off from Trubisky to a DiNucci type at this point? Is
Right.
Trubisky that much better than your average kind of street free agent, you would call it? Maybe.
Right. I mean, I get his experience. He's won a lot of football games. He does have a little bit of rushing upside. I just didn't see him play very well in the preseason, and I didn't see him play very well last year starting for Pittsburgh either.
I don't think it would happen. The most interesting option for me would be if the Cowboys really get in the cap crunch with the contracts here, would Jerry just buy out? Would he give up Trey Lance for a fifth after paying a fourth for him? You have to squeeze the 5 million under the cap, but at least there could potentially be some untapped potential. Dude's only played like 25 games combined between college and the pros at this point, and at least he could run a similar playbook. And Desmond Ritter might get cut, a couple of guys of that nature who are okay, but I don't know that they're much better than what you have. I just don't think you're going to get a chance to get like an Andy Dalton type or somebody where at least you'd feel somewhat comfortable with them, for 2 games, right? I mean, if you're missing Josh for more than 2 games, you're probably in trouble.
100%.
Any other positions you think the Bills could look to add from the outside at the trade deadline here? Is it possible they bring in a wide receiver, or you think they're just going to stand pat, maybe look at some cuts if guys get cut and not necessarily be looking to spend draft capital?
One that's interesting that you may not be thinking about is defensive tackle specifically. They only kept I've got them projected to only keep 4. And in years past, they've always kept more than that. So I think there's a chance they could maybe look to add some depth as an upgrade there over some of the guys that maybe they thought were going to make the team. I think that's a competitive room. It wouldn't surprise me to see if somebody goes, particularly that can fill either the 1 or the 3, right? They kind of need a specific thing there. I think that could make a lot of sense. Wide receiver is another spot, although I think they're pretty much content with what they have there. The injuries are a little bit concerning, and you didn't see a lot out of some of the young guys that you wanted to see. This preseason was just weird for the Bills, and injuries kind of led that to be a thing. Another thing is we'll find out how serious some of these injuries are at safety if they look to do anything there. You haven't seen Mike Edwards or Cole Bishop.
That's interesting. That's interesting. One prediction here. Frank Gore Jr. He had the big game there. We're going to talk about the game in a minute. Do you think he makes the roster? I saw him as a possible trade candidate. If you're ever looking to add something else, if he's going to be your fourth running back, that's the kind of thing maybe you could trade for another position, right? Maybe even a D tackle if you don't want to keep 4 running backs. Is that maybe something that you could see happen? Or you think he makes the squad?
I don't think there's a universe where he can make this roster unless they decide not to keep the one fullback that they've carried on the roster the last several years, and that's Terry Gilliam, Reggie Gilliam. I like Reggie Gilliam a lot. Offers some special team versatility. Believe it or not, can catch the ball a little bit, run routes, not just the big bruising thumper type, but can do it all. I don't know that that's, we'll see how much value they place on his versatility. If they don't keep him, I could see them keeping Frank Gore Jr. If not, I think they're going to hope and pray he stays on their practice squad. I think he clearly showed enough that he deserves a shot and he can play in this league.
Yeah, he could get claimed if you try to sneak him through to the practice squad. I think that's why people were maybe throwing him out there as a possible guy they could trade away because it is just a numbers game. You were right at that point. And let's be honest, if the Bills don't win a damn Super Bowl soon, you might need to get Terry Gilliam to make Fear and Loathing in Buffalo. So let's just hope we don't have to add him to the rooster. A couple of more fun bits before we get out of here. Everyone loves, the Packers. You can own a piece of the team. What if I told you, Jamie, the Bills are selling Bills bonds? This is Erie County giving Bills fans a chance to invest in the new stadium. Never been done before. Not going to be cheap. I think the cheapest buy-in you can get is $5K for a bond. Yes, it's mostly just to say you have it. You can make a little bit of interest here, but these are not guaranteed to make money. They are officially licensed by the SEC and everything. And Jamie G, any chance you're putting 5K in there? And no, you do not get a cool certificate to hang on your wall. You could print out the digital confirmation, but that was one of the main questions they had is people wanted, like, do I get something I can hang on my wall? So no wall hanging thing, but you are supporting the team.
Well, if there was a wall hanging thing, it would push me over the edge. I think I probably will. Look, Jamie G. Esquire the fifth believes in diversifying his portfolio. And I can't say that I have any Bills bonds or bonds from any major construction projects associated with a pro sports franchise. So this is something that is diversification for me. However, I will not be putting a lot into this. I would say probably 0.1 to 0.3% of the overall portfolio, but it would be a fun thing to do and, have a piece of my Bills.
Yeah, that's what they teach you to do there at Wu-Tang Financial. So shout out our financial advisors. And finally, the other fun thing here, the National Buffalo Wing Festival is back at Highmark Stadium for Labor Day weekend, August 31st, September 1st. Gates open at noon. You got 120 different styles of wings from 25 eateries, local, across the country, 3 stages, live music, only $20. Kiddies getting free if they're under 8. Parking is free. Sounds like a good time, man. If you're not going to the stadium to see the Bills, going to get some wings and listen to some tunes, probably second best thing.
Dude, I want to go and eat 87 wings and drink 8 to 7 beers and just hang out in the sun all day. Yeah, this sounds incredible. I hope they got wet wipes, lots of wet wipes.
Yeah, you are going to really need him there. So, and I just feel bad for the boneyard, man. That's what's going to be left when they demo the stadium. There's just going to be chicken wing bones everywhere. I wonder, it was buried on an ancient burial ground. Yeah, chicken wing burial ground.
Yeah.
And not as much fun here. You teased it before. Let's move on to the proverbial Madden ambulance, the injury report here. Sean McDermott came out and he said, look, the only guy I'm ruling out for week one, Matt Milano. Every other player with an injury could potentially play. He did mention that MVS and Trubisky trending upwards. You mentioned we don't quite knowing what's going on with the safeties. Anything stick out at you? Is there anybody you're really worried about not making it, or you think they're being a little bit coy with some of these guys, especially, maybe Curtis Samuel and MVS?
Yeah, I think they are. Curtis Samuel is one that I'm really concerned about. The turf toe is something that, you don't want to linger. This is an injury where even though it would suck to not have him out there week one, let's be honest, I'd rather not have him for week one, maybe even two, and then have him for the bulk of the season rather than putting him out there week one. He re-aggravates it, and now it's week nine before we see him. So that one I'm really curious about. The unfortunate part is I'm obviously very curious about the safeties. We mentioned Mike Edwards was brought in to start, right? I mean, he's had a heck of a career, won a couple Super Bowls. The guy's been a ball hawk. He was brought in to start. We haven't seen him. He got hurt in off season OTAs. So Cole Bishop, same thing. What role will these guys play? I don't know that you know there's enough time, even if they came back and started practicing. Cole Bishop, I believe, did come back and practice, that they're going to maybe start, but we'll see. I mean, I think that, still a full week plus of practice. So those are the main kind of things for me. And then just what they do with snap count with Von Miller to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, do what he's comfortable with. I think the same thing, right? He talked about last year, maybe he even shouldn't have been playing. If he's going to be more effective as a part-time player, make him a part-time player. At this point, you're just trying to get something. It seems like he's on the same page with the team there, just wants to contribute, get another shot at another ring. And I think that's what everybody is working towards. And to that end, the Bills had their preseason finale against the Panthers. Once again, sat all the starters down. I don't know how many players who played in this game are actually going to make the active roster. Probably just a handful. Definitely will be some practice squad candidates here. What were your main takeaways from the preseason finale?
I thought that the team played hard. There was, you basically got Danucci one half, Brown on the other half. I really like the effort. I know that's just a generic answer, but I really liked it. I thought some surprising players offensively stood out that I didn't think they would. Deion Kane was a guy who signed with the Bills a couple weeks ago. He really impressed me in this game, more so than a guy who I hoped would take the next step in Justin Shorter. He way outproduced him. Obviously, Frank Gore Jr. played really well. You hate to see him get rolled up in the fourth quarter there of a non-preseason game, and I don't think he's going to make the squad. But KJ Hamler playing running back was fun to watch when they literally didn't have any other running backs because Frank Gore was out of the game and Evans was out of the game with a hamstring. So those guys really impressed me. I thought Cedric Van Prier Granger, I think he was a fifth or sixth round pick out of Georgia, a center. Thought he played excellent, particularly in the run game, getting to the second level. Really curious to see if at some point they slide Connor McGovern back over to left guard and plug in this guy at center. I mean, the guy won 2 national championships, 3-year starter at Georgia, team leader, captain. 4.0 GPA, everything you're looking for in a center. We'll see how they develop him. I'm surprised he hasn't competed for a starting spot, but I think he makes this team. And I thought he played really, really well. I thought the whole depth of the offensive line played really, really well. Outside of that, it was nice to see some of the younger guys on defense flying around. Thought Corey Couch really impressed me at cornerback. Not a name that I was really familiar with. Played really well in the mix on a lot of things. I thought Jaquan Hardy had another nice game, both from a special team standpoint and from a defensive side of the ball standpoint.
Nice. I did get to catch some of that game. It was a good one to watch. I always like to see some of these guys that are playing, especially because I know they really are playing for their jobs, for their livelihood. So it was a good effort, all around. You like to see the starters get in there, but on the other hand, I don't mind them being cautious. I think the Bills are right to be a little bit gun shy about the injury bug here. Y'all have not had the best luck with that.
And the thing that was nice about this one too, Mills, is I would have loved to see him, and We didn't really get a lot of time together with any of our starters, so it'll be interesting to see if that has an effect come week 1, 2, and 3. Are that really going to be the preseason? Or are we going to be ready? I think we'll be ready, but we'll see. I think the interesting thing here was, Mills, to start this game, we got to watch Carolina's starting offense with every single piece of it, and then Carolina's starting defense with every single piece of it. And I thought our backup defense put them in a decent spot. They kind of got away with one on a fourth down, and ended up scoring on that opening drive. But they had him in a decent spot, almost got a stop twice. And I thought offensively, Ben DiNucci came in and we drove the ball and got points against their starting D. So that was, I thought there were some highlights there, considering we're playing all backups against their starters.
Yeah, you took what you could from it from a preseason finale when none of the expected starters played. So yeah, I think that you can read some stuff into it, but don't overthink it. Like you said, it's all going to come down to how they come out in the early weeks, especially week 1. And during the season, we have Jamie G giving our keys to victory, but it's a whole season. So let's go ahead and go with some keys to the season here. Jamie G, you've got your top 5 keys for the Buffalo Bills to succeed in the 2024 season. Tell us what they are.
Yeah, Mills, not in any specific order here, but I think 5 absolute must-have keys are as followed. Number 1, the ability to disguise coverage on the back end with the new safety core. This has been an absolute staple in Sean McDermott's tenure with the Bills defense over the years. Obviously they had Hayden Poyer, that's gone. If they can continue to do that and disguise the coverages and what type of defense are in, with the talent they have at cornerback and up front, I think this D has a chance to be just as good as it's been in the past, maybe even better. Point number 2 here, second key, is going to be filling in for Matt Milano's production. I don't think it's just going to be one guy steps up and does everything, whether it's Dorian Williams or whoever steps up and does everything Matt Milano does. We're going to need impact plays from the replacement and others around him. This is really critical. We got to have people on this defense flash. I'm looking for AJ Epinesa. I'm looking for Gregory Rousseau. I'm looking for Terrell Bernard, Rasul Douglas, guys to come up and make plays that normally Matt Milano would make. Number 3, balanced attack on offense. We saw it a little bit last year down the stretch, the ability to consecutively run the football and open up the passing game. This is a novel and new idea for a Josh Allen-led Bills offense, but this is something that we saw really work with the team in terms of getting wins, being able to control the clock, put together 10, 13 play drives, run the football when you want to. And when you can do that, this is going to be a really tough offense to stop just because of who you have throwing the football. Key number 3, key number 4, be special on special teams. I think this is an area of concern for the Bills. They're going to need to prove it. The new kickoff rules are, getting a good strategy and being able to pivot mid-season on what's working, what's not. All teams are taking a fresh approach to this. That'll be fun. But more importantly, it's getting consistency out of the kicking game, and both Bass, who's been a concern, and Sam Martin, who has at times flashed and other times been completely inconsistent. So be special on special teams. Finally, key number 5, Joe Brady's evolution with these new weapons. Can the Bills overcome this new offensive look and brand new weapons on offense and stay on the attack, well balanced with Joe Brady calling the games? Will defenses catch up to him? I think that's a big key here, is Joe Brady's success as a play caller and game planner heading into season 2 as offensive coordinator.
I think those are all very important. And you mentioned the special teams. What's your level of comfort with your man T-Bass going into the season? Because it's been kind of mixed reviews this preseason, it feels like.
It's wheezy. And, I'm trying to be fair. At one point, he hit 6 in a row, missed one, was called out for it. It was one he had to have. Didn't have the greatest days in practice. At one, had a couple negative days in practice. The guy was money. It's like something got in his head, and now he's just like, is he Rory McIlroy? Like, what's going on? He seems spooked here. I'm hoping he gets it together and is the Tyler Bass we all knew and loved from, a year or two ago.
Yeah, you hate to mention it, but golfers have one thing in common with kickers, and it starts with Y. It's 4 letters, and you don't say it out loud because it can curse you. And we don't want to be cursed. We want to be gifted. And during the season, we're going to have our Mafia Mannequin. And every time the Bills get a win, the mannequin gets gifted a new item. It can be a piece of clothing. It can be a piece of something to tailgate with. It could be a beverage. It can be an accessory. There's a lot of things. And the idea here is we're going to start out with our mannequin. He's just chilling. He's got himself some Buffalo Bills boxers, nothing else. We did this last year. It's a good time. Hopefully, by the end of the season, they've accumulated so many wins. This mannequin is just going to be decked out to the nines, hanging out with last year's mannequin out there in the parking lot, getting their tailgate on. Jamie G, are you excited for another edition of the Mafia Mannequin? And give us a sneak preview what we might be going for first this time. You putting a tattoo on him? We getting a face tattoo? You get some cool hair? Put anything on there. What are you going with, man? Give us one tease.
100% pumped about the return of the Mafia Mannequin. I cannot wait to dress this bad boy. I'll tell you one thing, you're going to see more accessories this year, and you're going to see elaborate accessories. I cannot wait for it. He's going to be a guy you want to hang out with and watch a game with, especially if you're a Bills fan.
My only suggestion here is because we are the Mafia Minute, a big Flavor Flav clock thing. I think he needs a big Flavor Flav style clock. I think that's important. Not going to push for too much, but I am there for the clock because it is that time. And I will throw out one more thing. If he's going to be sipping on something, I don't know if you've seen these, but Labatt's has come out with the Zubaz cans on both the Labatt
Yeah.
Blue, the Blue Light. I saw some people in Western New York enjoying them. They were quite nice. I was up there for a golf tournament. I was surprised to see them. You're probably jealous. You probably can't get them in your region. I'll see if I can get a couple of them and maybe get them to you at some point, even if it's just the cans, because they are pretty cool cans.
Dude, the Zubas cans, and for those of you guys that well, everyone on here will know as Bills fans, Zubas are expensive, bro. You spend some money on the pants and everything, so having the cans and that's exciting, man. I definitely got to get at least a case of those to sip throughout the season.
Cool look. It is funny because the blue can almost looks like a Bud, at least with the red top if you're not paying attention. It's like, man, a lot of people are drinking Budweisers. And I saw, wait, that doesn't look like a Budweiser. No, it's a Labatt Blue in a Zubaz can. That is very cool. Almost as cool as our Bills bets. Yeah, the Labatts can get you a little bit tipsy, but the Bills bets, they can make you money. Every week during the season, we're going to be giving you one wager each for the Buffalo Bills upcoming game. Since it's still the preseason, we are going with some futures wagers. I will go first here on the year so far. I have three Bills bets. I have that the Bills will have the most regular season kickoff return TDs. That's plus 3,500. I have Dalton Kincaid having more than 750 regular season receiving yards. That's minus 120 on the odds. And I have Keon Coleman over 4.5 receiving touchdowns, even money, plus 100. Jamie G, going to keep it simple here. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills have over 47.5 sacks. That is minus 115, minus 115. Decent odds. I'm feeling a 50 sack season, so confident in that 47.5 number. Jamie G on the year, your three previous Bills bets are Dalton Kincaid over 80.5 receptions. That's minus 110. That Buffalo will score at least one touchdown in every regular season game, even odds plus 100. And finally, your guy, Josh Allen, over 3,700.5 passing yards. That's minus 110. What do you have for us this time?
It is time to go big. This is the last future bets we're going to make on the Mafia Minute for the season. I'm going all the way in, Mills. I've been playing it safe, minus 110, plus 100. That ends now. I got a bet for you that's plus 1,600, and that is the Buffalo Bills to be Super Bowl champions. 2024-2025 season. That's right. I got the Bills winning it all, getting hot, doing what they should have did the last couple of years, getting it done. 10 bucks, 10 bucks on that baby pays you out 170. Nice little bet.
Quick question. So the Bills winning the Super Bowl is plus 1,600. If Josh Allen to win Super Bowl MVP was plus 1,900, would you rather have that? Is there any way the Bills win the Super Bowl and Josh Allen is not the MVP?
No way.
Feels
I,
unlikely, right? So just a
feels
little pro
unlikely. I
tip
mean,
there.
you
You
never
might get a
know.
little
It
bit
could
better
be.
juice on that one. That's all. Parlay them together if they'll let you. In fact, parlay those together. Excellent parlay. Might give you a little bit more juice on your squeeze there. I think that about wraps it up. We will be back after Labor Day weekend to preview the Bills home opener against the Arizona Cardinals. Jamie G, anything else before we get out of here, man? This is it. Final preseason episode. It's showtime next week, baby.
It is showtime. Just get excited, get ready. Remember your superstitions, be pumped up, be prepared. And remember, it's a long season. One game doesn't make or break, so don't flip out week one, right? Don't be hitting the panic button on anything, win or lose. And yeah, go Bills. This is what we live for, man. We're fired up.
I like that, but I also live for when after the first time, unfortunately, if it happens, the Bills lose, and I just send you this clip, and you're going to be like, "Oh no, you're going to send me the mean face emoji and everything." I didn't mean me; I meant everybody else, man. And especially on those superstitions, they are important. Everything that happens to your team is directly according to you. All your little things, did you brush your teeth with your left or right hand? They all impact the Bills winning on game day. So make sure you choose wisely. And thank you for already have chosen wisely by selecting to listen to and or watch the Mafia Minute presented by Season Gap Fantasy Football. Thanks again for checking us out. You can find us wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, on social media at CSAGAPFF, on the interwebs at MafiaMinute.com. Very easy to remember, just like the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember the thumb. I'm Magnum Mills. That's Jamie G. It's time for him to do the Flavor Flav thing and get you hyped before we get out of here, and maybe you'll get a clock.
What up, Mafia? The time is now. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Let's get after it. Go Bills.
Up all